All right. There we go. All right. Let me go ahead and get that going for you guys. Welcome into the Bearkat Bites post-game show. Not exactly the debut that you want if you're Phil Longo. Tough day at the office tonight. Maverick McIver just obliterates the Sam Houston defensive backs and secondary in a 41-24 Western Kentucky win. Now, this was a game going into it. You already knew a lot of eyes were going to be on you if you're Sam Houston. It was a de facto playoff game. If you were able to beat Western Kentucky, that's the end of them before their season even really starts. It would be incredible. It'd be freaking crazy, right? It would be insane. Man, I'm ready to jump right into it, man. I'm ready to jump right into it. Make sure you all comment. We will be here as long as you comment. I will respond to your comments as best I can, all right? So welcome in. Man, a few things. What did I write down here? So again, 41-24, Sam Houston loses this game on the road. The offense, man. There were seeds to be found if one looked hard enough. There were seeds to be found. How do you want to view this loss? Do you want to view it as, man, we had it, we're going to suck, it's going to be a long season? Or do you want to look at it as, oh, man, we're going to be rosy-eyed, orange-colored glasses? I prefer to be somewhere in the middle. There were seeds to be found, yet there's a lot of room for improvement. I am definitely concerned about the defensive backs, especially in man coverage. Okay, that's where I'm at tonight. All right, because what you saw with Western Kentucky, you saw Maverick McIver and Rick Bowie and these guys. By the way, the broadcast said that Rick Bowie was a freaking fourth grade teacher. Wow. I wonder how he was with the kids. How do we think Rick Bowie was with the kids, right? But what you saw was a Sam Houston offense that was still learning versus a Western Kentucky offense that already knew what it wanted to do. Their offensive coordinator and their quarterback were already one and in lockstep. Versus Phil Longo, he's here. He's trying to get Hunter Watson ready, and it kind of looks okay. Things like that, right? That's kind of what it looks like right now. And so because of that, you're going to have a lot of errors. And that's what happened. The offensive line, way too many penalties, way too many missed assignments. I'm not too sure what was going on with the right side of the line, but I'm concerned. Now, we found out that James Dawn, was not going to play. We had already known that for a couple of days. We'd already talked about that. That's why you got to subscribe to the newsletter. Go ahead, subscribe to the newsletter right now, okay? Go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you do. Also, if you want to grab a shirt, one of the Big Sam t-shirts, make sure you grab one. All that links, all that stuff is there in the description. But that was a problem. You can't have all of those penalties. Now, the running game, that was probably the most disappointing thing. A lot of you, when I wrote the position rankings and I put the running backs, I believe, fourth, some of you are ready to attack me. Some of you are ready to say, oh, Fobbs, that damn Fobbs. But we didn't really see a ton, other than Alton McCaskill, who's really good. He had the long run. He had a couple of long runs there, the touchdown. There was the Alton McCaskill drive to start the third quarter. That was very good. But that at the end of the day, though, there really wasn't enough. There was only like 61 total yards when you take away the big runs from Hunter Watson. You take away the runs from the running backs. That was very disappointing. Elijah Green wasn't able to get going. Again, a lot of that was the product of the offensive line that was injured. Also, offensive line depth, Zamarian Bryan. Now, I know he didn't figure on the too deep, but, when there's weak blocking and things like that, you want to have options to be able to go to, okay? And that's not what happened. There were drop passes from the wide receivers. You had a couple of big catches by the tight ends. Rayfield Lawton sighting. That was cool. Grady O'Neal, the Wisconsin transfer, took a nasty shot. That wasn't good. He was getting a few yards. He was leaking out, sneaking in there. We didn't really hear much about Grady O'Neal, so they decided to use him a little bit, and it worked a little bit. But a lot of that stuff is a problem. What was good about the offense, they tried to move fast. Did you notice look at how many seconds were left in the play clock when Sam Houston was running their offense. Did you notice that? There was only like 7 seconds ticking off and they were running things. Now that kind of led to some timing mistakes, but you know, I'm okay with Phil Longo sticking with that. I'm okay with Phil Longo sticking with that. He's already going into this game knowing that, okay, we're not really picked to win. They didn't cover. Spread was 10.5. They didn't cover. They did go over the 61.5. I didn't think they would. I thought it'd be 35-20, you know, but both offenses were a tick better than I thought, right? Defensively, the defense was a mixed bag, man. Let me tell you about the defensive line. Now, Phil Longo was kind of excited about them, and you saw some reasons why. You had the Zaquee Lawton sack. You had mostly keeping the running game in check. And when a lot of times when Maverick McIver tried to find some stuff underneath, it really wasn't there. You know, Freddie Autry-Lindsey was able to disguise some coverages. You know, it's like, yeah, you think you got off this first guy, but this other guy's charging in. You know what I mean? But the problem was when in the second half, and especially towards some early in the game, when they realized, okay, we can beat these guys in man coverage. Cecil Powell, man, every time the guy's 5 yards ahead of him. 5 yards ahead of him each and every time. The one good play that you had was Alonzo Edwards, you know, with the big hit and the scoop and score from Jameer Diaz, but that was more your front seven. Again, you know, you had Jace Arnold with a decent play early in the game, but again, they realized we can just pick this one guy in coverage, one guy, and I'm not sure why there wasn't an adjustment made. I'm not sure why that didn't happen, but you know, that wasn't very good. That was really what was the difference. I mean, you look at a lot of the final rushing yards and the final stats there. There's only 105 rushing yards from Western Kentucky. Some of that came at the end. Most of the game, Sam Houston didn't give up a 100-yard rusher. They have not allowed one person to get 100 yards. So Phil Longo was correct. We were correct in thinking maybe the defensive line is a little bit better than we think. Maybe we are. Maybe we were. And at the end of the day, the real problem with this is, or not really the problem, the real thing, the real lens you have to look at this is, and as an Aggie, I kind of learned this with Mark Turgeon era Aggie basketball. It's hard to evaluate when you're getting C+ effort from C level and even some case even D, who would be considered D level guys. Oh, you're saying they're D level? No, I'm saying what would be considered D level. You're getting a good effort. You're getting here's where you all want to be, all the way up here. And here's where they're getting things, but here's really where the talent is. You know what I'm saying? So they're really punching above their weight. So if you're but you know, going into this game, this is pretty much what people thought would happen. Go back in my newsletter and go back to our way too early previews. I told you that this game was going to be a loss. And I told you what has to happen. These first 4 games, I need to see what Sam Houston's going to be after those. After those, let's see how people are feeling. Does James Dawn come back? Is the offensive line playing better? Is the offense overall better? Have they figured out how to kind of mask guys who could get burned in coverage? Have they adjusted for that? All of that stuff is what we're going to learn and see these first 4 games. The good thing is that you know, they got some time to work. Let's see what we got here. Shout out Cruz. Let's see. No C's to be found. We've got some negativity in the comments. And by the way, this is an independent Sam Houston State media. You want to be negative in the comments? Fine. You're raw. Understand something about this post game. Let me tell you something. This is just raw response. This is just respond to this game. I don't care what it is. If you're drunk in the line at Whataburger, comment. Jump on in. Let's talk some college football. I'm glad this thing is back. All right. This guy says, DJ Cruise Control, shout out to you, man. Thank you for coming in, tuning in. There's no C's to be found. There's nothing positive. Well, why not? I saw a couple of things. I saw some tight ends who know how to get open. I saw a running back in Alton McCaskill who, for the first time since 2021, got in the game and had a nice drive. You know, there's pieces there. I saw a few pieces. Yeah. Too many. Oh, third and long. Yes, I'm glad you talked about that because I did want to mention that. Way too many third and longs. But how much of that is a product of the fact that they want to go a certain pace and they're still learning how to do it? That's really the question. None of the too deep on the running backs. Yeah, that's concerning. That's concerning. And I talked about that at the top of our broadcast here. That's concerning. The fact that Sam Houston did not play their entire stable of running backs. Now, Shane Porter and some of these guys, I'm not really sure. I don't know if Keelan Cox played. I have to look at the participation chart. I don't know if Keelan Cox played. I don't have any stats on him here. I don't believe that Keelan Cox played. Yeah. The offense wasn't terrible, but there's things to clean up. The thing is that there's enough there to make you say, okay, I would come back. Now yesterday on our broadcast, we talked on our weekly podcast, which we'll be moving to Thursdays, by the way, now that we're in game season. We might keep it there. We'll see how it goes. But we talked about how this game was going to be like a movie. You didn't know if you were going to like it or not. You're going into it cold. For me, there is enough there for me to come back. Oh, you're making another one? Okay, maybe you got a bigger budget and better writers. Maybe in this case with Sam Houston, they got some timing down. They've learned some stuff. You know what I mean? So there's some stuff. And again, it's not like you're facing Texas next week. You're facing a UNLV team who almost lost to Idaho State. Okay? There's going to be plays to be had against that defense. Now, I don't know. It might be a repeat of what Western Kentucky did. I know their running game's pretty good, but Sam Houston, they just showed their running defense was pretty okay. So there's another good chance to snag a win. There's another chance to snag a win, okay? What do you all think about that? What do you all think? Did you look at this and say, hey, I thought there was something there to be had? Oh, I want to talk about this. Why? Now, during the broadcast, they pulled up the Conference USA, quote, media poll. Wait a minute. I thought we were told there weren't polls. I was told that there were no media polls. So what the hell is this that they're giving us? I don't know what that is. And it had Sam Houston State finishing 5th. I'm like, wait a minute. What happened to the bowl chance index? That's what I was told was going to be the, quote, preseason measurement of the Conference USA teams. If you're going to be not have a poll, own it. Don't put something up and tell me it's a dang poll. Own the fact that you didn't want one. Come on, Conference USA. But yeah, there were definitely a lot of mistakes, man. A lot of mistakes for Sam Houston. A lot of them shooting themselves in the foot. Way too many long yardage situations. One or two questionable fourth downs. Fourth down was not good for them. The special teams, another nightmare on Elm Street. They made one field goal from 41, missed one from about 44. They got RJ Lopez in there now. The kicking game still just a bit questionable. So that's going to kind of be tough on that's going to kind of be tough on the offense. You know what I mean? They're going to have to get a little closer now before they can start considering field goal range. They don't have a long rangey kicker. Maybe he can kick it straight down Broadway. I don't know. But again, lining these guys up on the hash marks is just not going to work. It's just not going to work. And you're going to have to factor that into your offensive game plan. The punter was okay. Good to have Aussie punter back. Punter was okay. That was good. Western Kentucky's got a pretty good punter. 71-yard punt. Did y'all see that? Holy cow. Man, Western Kentucky, they've got some guys that are not named Maverick McIver. KD Hutchinson is one of them. He's their leading returner. He scored a touchdown. Just an easy little dime from McIver there. You know what I mean? Some people are thinking that Western Kentucky is going to win the entire Conference USA. Yeah, I got to see some games first. Let's see some games. I don't believe that they played Liberty, so that's a big help for them, but not for us, the fans. We won't have that data point in the season. So that's not good. But oh well, such is life, right? Overall, interestingly enough, Sam Houston, both of their opponents for the next 2 games have played today. Hawaii, I think their quarterback is hurt. That Alejandro guy, their quarterback is hurt. He's already doing the Byron Leftwich Marshall limp. He's out here doing this. It might still be on. I don't know if it's over or not yet. They're struggling against Stanford. Okay, though these are winnable games. All they're going to do is just try to chunk it downfield, which is kind of a problem for Sam Houston. Maybe they'll just expose him in man coverage, but we'll see. That remains to be seen in the next few weeks, next month. Overall, I say an average of a D+ to C- effort. A D+ to C- effort. If you were to tell me this is Sam Houston's first game with all these new guys, with all this lack of NIL, with all this stuff that they're struggling with, all that stuff, and this is how it looks, it's like, maybe it gets better. So the thing is, you want to be engaged and interested in the season as long as you can. Right now, you're interested at least another couple of games to see what happens. Hawaii kicked off a field goal. They won it in a walk-off. Well, there you go. Hawaii won it in a walk-off. So now we got to see how their little quarterback's going to be, Alejandro. He's a tiny little guy. Well, Western Kentucky, they are just better. That was during the 10-win season. Okay, yeah, another 17-point loss. This time, both offenses are better. Both offenses are a lot better. But wasn't that a problem that a lot of Sam Houston fans had? Weren't you tired of seeing Casey Keeler and Brad Cornelson slam it into the ground? At least you got a guy trying something different. Again, it's the Hawaii QB got hurt. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Hawaii guy's hurt. But yeah, you don't have a ton of you do. You have a couple of games to try to get better, see what's going on, but if you want to go panic, hey, that's fine. That's part of being a college football fan. Free to go panic. But I'm bringing it here. I'm excited to talk and tell you about, some things I saw, some things that are concerning, some things that could get better. Two things I'm deeply concerned about right now. Two things that, if you want to be sky is falling, let me give you some ammunition. One, the defensive backs in man coverage. Woo! Particularly Cecil Powell. Particularly when he wasn't getting penalties, he was out there getting burned. Tyler Bailey had a good play, though. There were a couple of decent plays in the secondary, but just one or two. Overall, it wasn't great. It was really just one person. And then the running backs, where are they? Where's the running game? Do I think Longo should consider putting in a new one? Well, when the season started, I said it would be Hunter Watson short leash. A lot of what happened was not on Hunter Watson. We could have a conversation about him now if you want. He looks like a guy struggling to master the timing, My granny, God rest her soul, true story. She was the first women's soccer coach. She won the first women's girls soccer state championship in the state, right? And she always said that the coaches would, people that think that they know when somebody should start, they don't see them in practice like the coach, right? So that's why it's like, if the guy's not playing well at things, you attack the coach, not the player, because the idea is the coach knows or think, who's best. So apparently Hunter is mastering this offense more than the other two guys. So to me, that means give Hunter another couple of games. You got to see what he looks like at home. The time that you make the most improvement, and a lot of these teams say it, is from game 1 to game 2. Game 1, game 2. That's really when they make the most improvement. So I would take a look at a couple of games and see what's going on. Yeah, he didn't look bad. He didn't look great. He threw one interception that wasn't good. Made one or two little bad choices, but overall, I gave him a C. I gave him a C. I gave him a C. Yeah, force deep balls, stuff like that. You know what I mean? I gave him a C. A lot of that was like, penalties, having to do stuff in long yardage situations. That was the problem, right? So I wouldn't say it's time to look at benching anybody. I wouldn't say there's no sky is falling yet. I wouldn't say that yet. It sucks. It sucks. Let's acknowledge that. If you're a fan and you wanted to win this game and upset Western Kentucky and tell Rick Bowie to shut his trap, that offensive coordinator there, well, it didn't get to happen tonight. I can't help you. None of us can help the result. But is there a chance that they can continue to get better and maybe pull off a big win against Dan Mullen and UNLV? Yeah, next week at their quote home opener in Houston. Yes, there's a chance. Can they do it against Hawaii, who's got a limpy quarterback? Yes. So everything that Sam Houston really wanted to do this year, the 5 wins that I said they would get, all of that stuff, that's still all in front of them. And based on what I saw today, 2 of those wins are on the table. UNLV, which I thought was a loss, in Hawaii. 2 of those are on the table. If they're able to nail stuff, and those are some big games coming up, so the coaches will have the players' undivided attention. So going forward, I wouldn't say panic yet. In fact, I don't think I saw any team that really just needs to panic. The closest one is probably UNLV is probably closer to panic mode. Your next opponent. Yeah, Kentucky's front line was pretty good, right? Well, they got that transfer from La Tech. What was that guy's name? Jaden Gray. Yeah, they got the big guy, Jaden Gray, from La Tech. So they spent a little money on some of the defensive line up front. Yeah, that's what it was. That was really the X factor. And their defensive coordinator, Devon, I can't think of his name. His first name's Devon, but he was able to really drop a good scheme. And remember, during the week I posted it, he talked about, we got to stop their quarterback. We got to stop Hunter Watson. And other than that big run that he got, they mostly did. I mean, he was able to get a couple of runs, but they still were able to create long downage. The offensive line for Sam Houston helped them with that, but it happened that way. You know what I mean? Let's see. Is anybody else? Is it time for anyone to panic? Maybe Fresno State. They lost to Kansas. They didn't look great. I mean, even Kansas State, they lost. Kansas State's loss is kind of like Sam Houston's. It's like, wow, they lost, but there's a lot of room for improvement. Kind of. Now, they were a lot more equal, Kansas State and Iowa State, and Farm O getting over in Ireland for whatever reason. But both of those teams, there's no panic button there. But yeah, the Western Kentucky front line was pretty dang good. They were pretty amazing. Yeah. The linebackers were very okay. But again, their defensive coordinator, he's pretty good. He's got them disciplined. He's got them playing well. I don't know if Western Kentucky is going to win the conference, but they're a contender. Wouldn't surprise me if they do. Would not surprise me if they do. Right now, I'd say it's Western Kentucky and Liberty. And I went into the season saying that. There was going to be those 2 teams. And it might be Western Kentucky running the table and representing Conference USA in the playoff. Who knows? Every other game for them looks pretty easy. I think they got Toledo. Who else do they have here? I think Western Kentucky's got, next for them is North Alabama. They're at Toledo. They're home for Nevada, at Missouri State, at Delaware. They got the 2 newcomers back to back. Now, granted, they got to go on the road to see them, but these are the 2 FBS newcomers, and they got them back to back. Then a bye week, then a Tuesday night game against FIU, then another Tuesday night game at La Tech, then a bye week, New Mexico State, Middle Tennessee, at LSU, then at Jack State. Not the toughest gauntlet for those guys. Not the toughest gauntlet at all if you are Western Kentucky. So I would say that maybe they're getting ready to run the table a little bit. Maybe. And it's really just a product of, hey, they drew a very, very simple, very, very, very easy schedule. You know what I'm saying? They drew a very, very, very simple and easy schedule. Now, Sam Houston, meanwhile, they got it kind of tough. They got to win this one. Then they got Hawaii. They got to hope that they win the one next week, because then they got to hit the road to Hawaii the very next week on September 6th. They get a bye week, but then they got at Texas, then another bye. So around September 27th, we'll have the conversation truly of where Sam Houston is. We'll get closer to the answer each week. You know, if you're playing spades, all your options will be removed each week, but we'll know a lot on September 27th. You know what I mean? But for right now, that's what they've got going on. For right now, that's what's happening. You know, you got to wait and see. We kind of know what to expect next week. Sam Houston's going to try to run the football. Although, based on what I saw from UNLV, I think that they should probably try to throw it a little bit more. Maybe try that timing stuff a little bit more. But yeah, for Sam Houston, a few interesting lineups. So first of all, how about for Sam Houston? The depth chart we got was false. It was pretty much crap. The depth chart that we got was crap. None of it was accurate. Okay. They came out with the 3-4 base. Christopher Eaton, who played pretty well, Zaquil Lawton, Dylan Frazier. All of those names were called. All of those guys were some playmakers. Now, Antavius Fish, you're a little bit nervous about him. He went down with what looked like a leg injury. We're going to have to find out about that. I know some sources and boots are on the ground there. Hopefully we know pretty soon about what's going on with him. There's just a lot with that going on. Is he hurt? Is he not? You know what I mean? We're going to see. But after that, that's kind of when it kind of fell apart for Sam Houston defensively. You dig? That's kind of what went down and kind of what happened, you know? So overall, not the worst night. And again, you know, especially from an injury standpoint, you lost one or two guys, but not that bad. Your defensive line didn't get hurt. They played a lot better than you thought. Everyone thought that this was going to be a loss going in. Now, they didn't cover. They certainly didn't cover, but they scored more points than I think a lot of people thought they would. And at times, their defense looked a lot better. Their front seven looked a lot better than people thought. Now, going into the season, remember, what did we think? Well, it's probably going to be the defensive backs. They might be pretty good. They got this Jace Arnold guy who did have a play today from Wisconsin. Maybe they'll be pretty good. But then the coaches started talking as the season got closer, and we started hearing more about these linebackers, about Antavius Fish and how he was a guy who was bringing people together. We heard about Dylan Frazier, who was on Bruce Feldman's Freaks list. We started hearing these things. We started hearing these words and these voices about how the front seven might be pretty good, and that's really was the strength of tonight. Again, the problem was when you get a lot of the defensive backs for Sam Houston out in space, you pretty much got your pick of the litter in man coverage. So we got to see how Freddie Autry-Lindsey adjusts with that. I thought that when Maverick McIver and Western Kentucky went under, when they threw underneath, Sam did a pretty good job. I think the Bearcats did a pretty good job of that. But overall, just rough first game for Phil Longo, but it'd be like that sometimes, right? You got to make it happen and see what else is going on. But we'll see. But join us next week, you guys. Join us next week as well. We'll be back here Thursday. Make sure you're subscribing with the links in the bio. If you want to get the Sam Houston shirt, if you want to get that, become a subscriber. $50, you'll get this, and you're going to get a surprise holiday gift. I'm going to send you two things. We're going to take care of you guys. That's the way we do this, because this is independent Sam Houston coverage. I love talking college football. I want to be able to give more of this to you. The more you all support, the more things we can do. We're going to try to be here after every game. Now, there's one or two we may or may not miss, and we'll let you know about that certainly. But about 15 minutes or so, give or take, after every Sam Houston game, we will be here in this space talking about it. And you all commenting, let us know what you think. What do we want to talk about? What did we miss? What do you want to throw out there? So let other people know too. Let other people know. And yeah, Shane Porter next game. Yes. Shane Porter, we got to start seeing him in the next game. Yes. Continue to comment. If you want to, all guys want to comment, continue to share your thoughts. Yeah. But what does Shane Porter look like? Is he healthy? Is he okay? Obviously he wasn't on the out list. He wasn't on the injured or health list that Conference USA now puts out. I just wonder what that was about as well. So we'll have to see what was going on with that. We'll have to see maybe during the media availability this week, they get ready for UNLV. Maybe they're just saving a little bit of the playbook. Maybe they, I'm not sure. There's no real guess right there. Yeah, I mean, on special teams, I mean, that's one thing, but that's one thing to be on the special teams, but it's another to, you want to see them toting the rock, right? By the way, speaking of running backs, how about Kansas State? They lined up their star running back Dylan Edwards there, the Colorado transfer, at kickoff. He gets blinded in the smoke there, the post of the pregame festivities. They have the fireworks, misses the ball, gets injured, and fumbles it. He was out for the game. Didn't even get to run the ball for Kansas State. Surprise, surprise, they struggle running the ball. It was just Avery Johnson, the same old offense that's always been there for the Wildcats. But yeah, you want to see some of that for Sam Houston. Speaking of the Sam Houston, oh man, special teams. That was a mixed bag at best. Now, when I say special teams, I mean the kickoff, I mean the returns, I mean the punts, I mean the place kicking. So all of that taken together was a very mixed bag tonight. Wasn't very good. Okay. I kind of like I wish that we could have a little bit better of an offensive line rotation. Not we as in the team, but I wish that as fans, you all would have seen some different matchups there. I mean, Longo said that there were 3 guys who could play center, but it's like, oh man, really? Are there? I saw the center struggling to make a couple of blocks. I saw some blatantly missed blocks. You know what I mean? So that's very concerning. And we really thought that the offensive line going into this season was going to be one of the stronger points. Now, the left side was, but the right side was very questionable. But even kind of towards the left side and things like that, some of the blocking wasn't great. Luke Eckert and some of these guys, like, yikes. But again, that's a product of Western Kentucky, their front guys being better than what was previously imagined. So a lot of stuff to clean up, a lot of stuff to look at, a lot of stuff to see if it can improve. Certainly wasn't air raid tonight. And I saw a couple of people online kind of saying, scoff, turtle, air raid. Well, Phil Longo was telling you that it wasn't really an air raid. They had 160 yards of running. And if you take away the big runs, that it barely is like a touches 70 maybe. So that's kind of concerning, Well, again, the right side of the defensive of the offensive line was bad because the Hilltopper defensive line was better than imagined. That was one thing right there. That was one thing, But overall, yeah, it was very disappointing. Very disappointing how the front 5 didn't really show up. They're learning different blocking methods. That's kind of a reason that they'll struggle. It's a different type of blocking. These are all brand new coaches. You know what I mean? And it's a case where Lawton's not out there. Remember, he was injured. Your starting center, the guy who's going to really guide this whole thing, he was injured. And surprise, surprise, lots of mistakes, lots of penalties. Yeah. Well, when people say air raid, they're quote the casuals, and I don't want to crap on the casuals because that's mostly who's watching college football. It's just people that go laugh and have a good time, stuff like that. But looking at it, it is not an air raid. I'm not sure and I'm not really sure what to call it yet, because first of all, we really don't. They really haven't ran Phil Longo's full vision yet in this first game. They haven't really ran his full vision. That's the biggest problem with this thing that's happening right now. I know ball. Well, thank you. And if you want to see more of the things that I know, the links are in the description as well. Go ahead and subscribe. All that stuff is free. But if you buy something, we'll give you products. Here. Let me go on this tangent quickly. You subscribe to On3, you'll subscribe to TechSat, these other places. Oh, you're just getting, articles. Nah, man, you subscribe here. You do it for a year. We give you stuff. We'll start off with this t-shirt and then give you a free holiday item. Sam Houston stuff, Big Sam, the Big Sam t-shirt. You see the Sam Houston statue going into Huntsville if you're coming from Houston. You know what I mean? We give you stuff. That's what separates what we do here. You're getting some of that real game, some of that real information and analysis, and you're going to get some products, man, because I love taking care of you. This is the type of coverage that I wish I could have been able to do for years and years, and it's good to be here. It's a blessing to be here. Continue to comment away. Thank you. So let's see. Yeah, but that's the whole problem. People are just looking at the surface. But the problem is even the thing that it's really supposed to be doesn't look great. That was the biggest issue. Just not a lot going on. They tried to control the clock. Again, in our newsletter, I talked about get the running game going, try to control the clock. There was some attempt to do that, but it just couldn't really get materialized because of the front seven for Western Kentucky. I said that the defensive backs had to play well. They did not play well. Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it. As long as y'all want to listen, I will talk. You know what I mean? although we do have a hard out at 11. I as you can see, as a lot of men know, you only have so many hours to do the things you actually like. but anyway but that's the entire issue. So let's see what else here stood out. The game was really close. I mean, Sam Houston went ahead, which is why you're saying, hey, that's cool. During my single days, we I would do these lives until about 2 or 3 in the morning. I used to. But let's see. But that's why you all comment away and do it right now. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was a fun game until about, halfway through the third. I said about the beginning of the fourth. I think that's when I marked it, because the opening third quarter drive, they scored, and then they go ahead, and then with about 6 minutes left, they had to punt, and then let's see. Yeah, 10-17 when it became 41 right there in the fourth quarter. It was an interesting game until about early in the fourth quarter. Yes, the secondary. I personally think that the secondary definitely should consider going to zone. What the things they were doing underneath, where they were sending, so first of all, Western Kentucky, it looks like they were trying some air raid stuff of their own. And that was the actual air raid, where it's like, all right, we're just going to play off of your defender. Freddie Autry-Lindsey, the defensive coordinator for Sam, he actually called a good game plan for the stuff underneath, where it's like, okay, yeah, throw it to him, but here comes another guy who was just looking at you the whole time. You didn't see him. That was working. that stuff was working. But like it says here in the comments, yeah, they went to man to coverage. Powell, Alonzo Edwards, and Cecil Powell, they got picked on and they got burned, or they got a penalty. So whatever was going on underneath, maybe they should try to bring that to when these teams go up top as well. What you're doing with the linebackers, use it with the safeties. The problem is, excuse me, can you send that many? The problem is, what can you send? Can you send those safeties like you do the linebackers? Would you miss something over the top still? So I would expect some sort of adjustment, maybe, and I personally think it should be that. Yes, they definitely should, because you can't look that bad. But luckily, again, the good news is they have a chance to try some stuff, because again, what I saw from UNLV doesn't look great. Looks like it's going to be that Calandria kid that's going to be the quarterback. Maybe with a guest appearance or so from Alex Origi. You know what I mean? But they got a guy, Jet Thomas. They're going to run the ball with him. They're going to run the ball with him, and your front seven, your rushers look pretty good. So if they can adjust the defensive backs in a decent way, all right, we'll see if they can adjust the defensive backs in a decent way. I think they're going to be. I think they could be okay. Or maybe the offense still looks like crap and they bottom out. The good news is, again, there was nothing that I saw today that made me say, oh, gosh, pack up the season. It's over. Let me tell you something. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. Last year on the first game, I knew the season was over. There are certain times that you just know the season was over. Yes, sir. The general, he's out. He's out. Peace. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. They got to establish the run a lot more. Maybe, if Alton McCaskill's the hot hand, start with him. Throw Shane Porter in there. See what can happen. If you got these guys, throw them in there. Put them in there and see who's got the hot hand. I like that game plan. They did that. They started with Elijah Green. He had a couple of decent runs at the beginning of the game, then struggled. Then they went with McCaskill, especially at the beginning of the third quarter, and he had a drive of his own that ended with him getting in a touchdown. So that stuff, that approach works. Again, the problem was the blocking. The problem was they did this from long downage. The problem was the offensive line, that stuff. But there was nothing, let me tell you something. So when Dylan Edwards going back to Farmageddon, I watched the entire thing. It was okay. When he got hurt, their backups for Kansas State, the running backs, they don't look good. They got this guy, Joe Jackson. He cannot hit the holes fast enough. Okay? He just can't. Now, Sam Houston's running backs, McCaskill especially, he can hit the hole. He can do that. So they don't even have to be great blockers. They just need to do enough. That tells me they just need to do enough, which is, again, strange, because we went into the season thinking that the offensive line, well, they're in the running for the strongest position. They're in the running for the best position on the team. We thought, man, at least through one game, we were wrong. But, the good news is, on a short week, granted, but they have a chance to get back out there quickly and show that they have possibly improved. You know what I'm saying? They have gotten in there. They have a chance to do that. So if they can clean those things up, if Hunter Watson can master the offense more, and again, ifs and nuts and cansies and butts, we'll have a Merry Christmas, right? I'm doing some of my Christmas shopping early, actually. I've actually started doing that here in the dead of August. Yeah. A little bit. You got to start on that stuff early. But they do, Sam Houston, they do need to establish the run. They do need to kind of get that going. Again, I'm much more worried about the secondary. That's what I'm much more concerned with right now. If I had to pick one, if I had to pick something. Any insights on why you didn't see Phoenix? I mean, well, first off, I'd say we didn't see very many of any wide receiver, right? I don't think we saw many of any wide receiver. I think there was just a plan to stop him. Now, Grady O'Neal, interestingly enough, Grady O'Neal, as I pull up these stats here, I don't want to pull up on the computer and mess up our connection here. Grady O'Neal was their go-to guy. I mean, again, Phil Longo talked about it. We're going to play with to who's the hot hand. Elijah Green was your top receiver, your running back. He had 7 receptions. Grady O'Neal, second, 3 receptions and 50 yards. So that just tells me he was the hot hand. You even had a guest appearance from Rayfield Lawton and Derek Bledsoe. You had a couple of tight ends getting in on the action too. That's what Western Kentucky was giving you. I think that's what happened, and even on the broadcast, Robert Turbin and I think Chris something. I can't remember the play-by-play guy's name, but they talked about, where's Michael Phoenix? It was a struggle to get any of these guys. I would also say, where was Quavez Humphreys? 1 reception. And then the real problem is he had a couple of guys dropping balls too. That was a big problem as well. I kind of think that's what was happening. I've also heard Avion Smith-Mack has been rising up the charts. He had 4 receptions as well, but he had, there was a drop there too. The biggest problem with the wide receivers right now is the drops. You know what I'm saying? The biggest problem that I've seen right now that my sources tell me is the drops. They're keeping a lot of tabs on that, as to how efficient a lot of these guys are. It's the drops, and that's a big problem for Sam Houston right now. Okay, so right now today, I wouldn't read too much into not seeing Michael Phoenix. I think it's just a product of the whole offense struggling. You know what I mean? Hopefully they try to get it to him in the next game. You need as many hands on deck getting involved. And Phil Longo even said he wanted to get as many guys as possible involved. Also, by the way, the people who said 2 quarterback system, we could see 2 of them. No. People, people just listen to some of the coach speak and run with it. That was just some last minute gamesmanship from Phil Longo. Again, I'd already played for you what the Western Kentucky defensive coordinator said. They were already planning for Hunter Watson. So all that reading into that stuff, oh gosh, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make a lick of sense. Does not make a lick of sense. So there's that. There is that. So we're going to start to kind of wind this down and wrap this up. Again, subscribe to the newsletter. We'll have position grades. We'll go into even a little bit deeper each position. If you're interested in that, the links are in the bio. That is free. If you just want to read some more about Sam Houston, it'll just be there in your inbox. No pressure to buy nothing, none of that stuff. It's free. But check everything out. Let people know that we're here. All college football is good college football. We'll see you all.